So, this is the brand new podcast for this channel. I've been sponsored for this podcast by a company that my family uses every single day. Are you tired of seeing commercials of men in the shower for other razor companies or men's soap companies? I am. I'm absolutely sick of it. I don't know about you, but I'm not waiting longer than my 20-minute drive to go to Walmart or the drugstore to get my razors, find the 16-year-old in that drugstore that has the keys to open the Razor Fortress. I get my razors sent to me by Dollar Shave Club. Personally, I get the executive razor, which is $9 a month for 4 razors. That's half the price of any other razor company. That could help you pay for that Dr. Carver shave butter so that way it goes on clear and the hair disappears with that beautiful razor you just bought. Or a bagel. Everybody loves bagels. If you want to help me out, please click the link down below in the description. It gives me a little bit towards my next order, and it will give you any razor from Dollar Shave Club for the first month for $1. I hope you all enjoy. Now, I hope you enjoy the brand new podcast, The Nation of Below. So, in this podcast, we're going to be talking about politics. We're going to talk about a little bit of shrouded secrecy stuff since I stopped doing that on my channel. I really enjoyed doing it, but it happened a little bit too much time on my hands. We'll go into some Trump stuff. We'll go into some shrouded secrecy. Maybe do a little bit of Am I the Asshole? And maybe, just maybe, we'll get to about 45 minutes or so audio-wise. Maybe a little bit more. Who the fuck knows? But this podcast will not be censored at all, just so that you know ahead of time. There's absolutely no reason for you to expect that your ears will not be violated by the word fuck and maybe a few other choice curse words. But that's just the end of it. It will be completely uncensored, just so that way you know. There may be some prank phone calls and stuff like that in the next few episodes. I hope you all enjoy. First, just want to break the fourth wall a little bit. I apologize for the audio in the last videos that I just recorded. They got screwed up a little bit. There will be beeping and stuff like that. Mute the fucking video. Watch it. Don't watch it. Don't care. Doesn't matter. It happens. We'll be redoing them with my fiance. Obviously, both recorded at the same time. Didn't notice there was an audio issue. I got to kind of work that out. But we will get it figured out. So first off, we are going to start off this episode with Am I the Asshole? So, I was scouring through Reddit, and I found this really kind of nifty Am I the Asshole? It was from about 2 years ago. I sorted it by top, and this was the top response. I don't know how long I went back. It was just the top response. So, I will tell you the little bit of the story. I was in year 10 in high school when this girl, a grade A student, decided that she was going to make it a regular thing to sneak up on me and slap me in the face. She would do it to me 2 or 3 times a week for about 2 or 3 weeks. She'd sneak up on me, find some way to get me to turn around, slap me hard in the face, and walk off laughing. Of course, everyone else thought this was hilarious too. One day before science class, I noticed her shadow coming up before me, coming towards me, obviously trying to slap me. I turned around. She went in for the right hand slap, but this time I caught it with my left forearm. She returned, and I returned with the hardest backhand face slap I could muster. She ran off crying and never did it to me again. Am I the asshole? First off, biggest problem with all of this. Number 1, shouldn't be hitting a woman. Obviously, rant about that in a second. Number 2, number 1 liked comment. She liked you, you dingus. Okay. I'm gonna discredit this one right here. And then we'll go on into the not hitting women kind of shit because kind of ridiculous. But let's vent about this part first. Number 1, most people don't hit each other when they like each other. They'll be flirty, they'll do stuff, but they're not going to full out slap you in the face. Not gonna fucking happen. It doesn't fucking work like that. That's bullshit and you know it. Don't tell somebody, oh, she liked you. No. That's not how this works. If somebody's fucking picking on you, obviously, there's probably a reason to pick on you. Not saying that it's right, but that's probably what's going on. That's pretty much what's going on. Somebody's fucking with you, they're being an asshole, and that's what's going on. Yes, she is the asshole. Now, let's get back to the topic at hand right here. Was he an asshole? Yes. 100%. The whole block her hand and continue on about your day probably would have been enough. Or what the fuck are you doing would have been enough. You could have gone arrogant if you're an arrogant kind of guy. Pushed her up against the wall, maybe kissed her on the forehead, something like that. If you felt she liked you. Don't really think that's the truth, but whatever. But that's not necessarily how things work. You don't hit a female and get away with it and that be the end of the story. You don't backhand a woman because she fucking slaps you in the face 2 to 3 times a week. You fucking deal with it. Not victim blaming, not telling anybody that they're doing anything wrong. But if a fucking woman hits you, you either deal with it or get the fuck out of the situation. There is no you're gonna hit back, because you don't get to hit back. Obviously, if the woman's bigger than you, I guess you gotta kind of question it there. But at that point, then you have to decide. Female, not normally bigger than a male. So let's go and find another one. Okay. My parents are diabetic, morbidly obese, and addicted to food. I'm the same, minus diabetes. I've been trying for a while to eat healthy and lose weight. So have they. But yet, every time they go to the store, they bring home junk food. I understand that it's hard for them. But it's also hard to stay on track with a healthier lifestyle when there's junk food all around me. Plus, they're getting older, so it's crucial for them to get healthy now. A few weeks ago, they brought home 4 bags of donuts, and I emptied each pack into the trash. Am I an asshole for this? Edit 1. I love all the response. Got 1 no, 1 maybe, and 1 yes. I agree with all of you. Edit 2. You guys are right. I'm the asshole. Now, this was tagged as asshole, but I disagree. Absolutely 100% disagree. And this is why. As a kid, not necessarily a kid, but as your parents' child, you need to give them the best quality of life that they try and give you as well. I see children a little bit differently, obviously. Grew up in a little weird household, but maybe story time later for that one. But in my childhood, well, not necessarily childhood, teenage years up until I was 15 and had a kid, it was my job to push my mom to do better for herself. It wasn't their job to push themselves. Obviously, they needed to push themselves, but you got to kind of work with them. Especially when you're struggling with the same problem, you got to kind of talk to them and tell them what you're dealing with and what you see that they're dealing with, and have a complete, open, and honest conversation. Was this person an asshole? No. I 100% disagree. Just because they're trying to do the best for themselves, not only are they trying to lose weight and better themselves, they want their parents to lose weight and do better for themselves. Now, either of those things are not a bad thing. Where can either of those things be seen as a bad thing? He's trying to improve both of their lives. Now, he's saying they're old, she's saying they're old, so I would assume that they're probably like 50 and probably quite a bit overweight, with them saying that they can't do this anymore. So I can really see where this kid throwing out the donuts, but I'm assuming he's probably like 16, 17. Yes, you did the right thing. You're trying to improve not only your health, but your parents' health and your family and everybody else around you. You're not an asshole, bud. Not in the slightest, at least not in my opinion. So that's how I feel about that one. Like, there's no real reason to call you an asshole. 100%. There's no reason to call you an asshole. So we're going to get one more of these, and I'm going to do this one. Am I the asshole? Just that way we have a nice, precise ending. Hold on 1 second. I gotta up the volume just a little bit because it went back down. There we go. So, am I the asshole? I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. Our lease is up in 2 days, and his plan was to move out and find a place with his girlfriend. My plan was to move out and find another roommate. Last week, he sends me a text saying he's staying another month. This is okay for me since I have not nailed down a new roommate or a place yet. Monday night, 2 days ago, I come home from work to find our place, full of moving boxes, new furniture, his girlfriend who got evicted from her other place, suddenly here in his living room, with the rest of her stuff strewn through the apartment, and her dog. He didn't tell me because he didn't think I'd care. Today, nearing the end of the month, I wanted to confirm we were splitting the rent 3 ways. They can both afford it. She's actually the one with the job in the relationship. He has GI Bill military income each month. He told me there was no way in hell that was happening because she was his guest and not a tenant. I surveyed the massive piles of boxes and gestured that only sent him farther. Anyway, apparently that's the end of the discussion. Am I the asshole here? Okay, before I read the edits, no, you're not the asshole. She is not the asshole either. He is the asshole. She should have stepped up and said that she was going to pay the rent, or your friend, roommate, pays 2/3 of the rent. That's the only answer. She fucking moved in with you and your roommate, who's her boyfriend. Either he takes care of the 2/3 of the rent, or each one of them takes care of 1/3 of the rent. Those are the only 2 answers. Now, let's read the edits. Update. She just got home and said the same thing he did. Visit the leasing office first thing tomorrow. Update. I asked the leasing office to please send me a copy of the contract when they weren't open yet this morning when I stopped by. The lovely lady very quickly accommodated it and sent over the fine print. I looked through the legalese and found these 2 exciting clauses. Pets. No pets are permitted without prior written consent of the landlord, which means no dog. Visitors. Tenant acknowledges that his guests are his responsibility and they will park only in designated parking areas, and they will adhere to all apartment rules, which means no pets. Visitors are limited to a 5-day stay. Visitors staying longer than 5 days must notify management in writing. Update number 3. Roommate obviously noted of signs of me packing up and asked if I was moving out. I said that I had nothing to say to him. I plan on talking to the leasing people tomorrow. He came back an hour later and just said, just so that you know, if you don't pay August rent, I'll sue you in small claims court. I told him to have a nice day. I completely moved out. The leasing people I talked to for an hour were exceedingly unhelpful. If I ever want to be able to legally move out of there, I have to have him co-sign a roommate separation agreement, and he will not sign it. They tell me that I wouldn't even be eligible to get my deposit back until both of us moved out. I asked what it meant if he stayed there for 5 years, and the woman shrugged at me. They said also that anything that is problematic with the apartment while she is there is my responsibility too, because my name is on the lease. You're telling me that my roommate brings an uninvited guest and her dog against my wishes. I report it, and I get in trouble for having an unauthorized pet. Your name is on the lease, the woman stared at me blankly. We found a new asshole in this situation. The legalese lady, right here. She is the asshole. Now, she may not have the authority to tell this guy that everything's going to be okay. Sorry. That everything's going to be okay. But she could at least talk to the management and try and get what's going on to go through so that way he can at least get his deposit back or be let out of the lease. This is 100% up to her, and she's kind of holding him to it, which is kind of weird. You would expect them to be trying to get the other people out, not trying to kick them in their ass and kick this guy in his ass to be like, oh, yeah, well, you gotta pay. It doesn't matter who pays. We have an uninvited guest. I didn't accept it, so I moved out. Therefore, probably end of the story right there. You shouldn't have tried to go get your deposit. Probably weren't getting it anyway. But I don't think that's the problem right there. I think the major problem is your friend was an asshole. His girlfriend kind of agreed with him, which kind of makes her an asshole. But they should have paid. They should. They should pay 2/3 of the rent. You only had one person there on top of the dog. You would think that they would pay more than their fair share. If they're paying all the bills and you're paying half the rent, kind of makes sense. But you should be splitting the bills 2/3 them, 1/3 you. Obviously, problem is solved now, so it doesn't really matter. But that's where my opinion is on it. Now, we are going to go break down some brand new news. I think it's like a day old. Right now, Trump signals shifting approach to North Korea after the death of the U.S. student. Now, before I even read into this, I already know basic information, don't know the kid's name, but somebody traveled to China. A U.S. male student who was white traveled to China, ended up going into North Korea on a crazy trip, went into city of Pyongyang, or very similar, bad at pronouncing Chinese city, well not Chinese, Korean cities, and ended up having major problems. He ended up going into court. I think he got released after 17 months of detention in North Korea. Just reading a little bit of what's going on here. He ended up going into a coma because, from what they found, a lack of oxygen. So that right there is a big problem. They tortured this fucking kid. Absolutely tortured this fucking kid to send him into a coma. They said that he got botulism and that sent him into the coma. That's bullshit. But, well, the reason why you can't go into a coma from botulism is it doesn't create coma circumstances. You don't lose oxygen, you don't lose blood flow, therefore you're not really going to go into a coma. Needless to say, back to what I was saying. We got a big problem here. Definitely a big fucking problem here. This kid was tortured. That is an act of war. He was tortured in North Korea. Now, we've had problems with China, we've had problems with North Korea, we've had problems with a lot of Asia, especially recently, especially if you include the Middle East as part of Asia. Personally, I do, because they're not their own continent and they're not part of Africa, so therefore, kinda Asia. We've had a lot of problems in that region. Now, is attacking the psycho North Koreans make a lot of sense? I don't know. Let's read into this a little bit. President Trump on Tuesday appeared to lose faith in China's ability to pressure North Korea, and his spokesman said to the White House is moving farther away from a direct engagement with Pyongyang, throwing into question the administration's strategy to contain the rogue nation's growing nuclear threat. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the backstory since I don't know all the stupid little details about this. The death of American college student Otto Warmbier in Cincinnati this week, days after his release from 17 months of detention in North Korea, has injected new political complications into Trump's bid to persuade dictator Kim Jong-un to curb his regime behavior. Trump called the treatment of Warmbier Otto, just calling him Otto from now on, who reportedly was in a coma for most of his captivity, a total disgrace, and suggested that he has given up hope that Beijing could exert meaningful leverage on Kim. While I greatly appreciate the efforts of President Xi and China to help with North Korea, it has not worked out, Trump wrote in a tweet. At least I know China tried. Okay, so, now most people are going to be like, well, now we're probably going to go to war with North Korea. We could. But the biggest part of that was the last sentence. To me at least. Because most of my adulthood, and even some of my teenage years, I was afraid to go to war with China. I was afraid to go to war with Africa. They were kind of the two unstable regions and kind of had bigger power over us. Obviously, you don't want to go to Africa and deal with Ebola pox, stuff like that. But China has more men than us, has higher industrial centers and stuff like that. Obviously, you look at pretty much anything, and it's made in China or made in Indonesia, kind of part of China. But that's where the biggest problem is. But we just got one of the biggest tips that we've not seen in a while. At least I know China tried. they're trying to be okay with us. Now, this isn't something we've seen in forever. China hasn't been okay with us in a very, very long time, if ever. Maybe when we came and helped them in World War II, that was about it. But that's really big to me. We go to war with North Korea right now. It seems like China kind of backs us or stays neutral. It's not like China's going to back North Korea, where it's communism against communism and communism going up against the United States. It'd be us against North Korea, or South Korea against North Korea, with us backing them, and then China isn't backing North Korea this time. It's kind of a weird thing. You look at how culty new North Koreans are, with the whole Kim Jong-un doesn't have a butthole, and he shot an 18 the first time that he played golf. And that's where you kind of begin to have problems. You're not dealing with a country, you're dealing with a cult. And that's kind of scary. He feeds them what to feel, what to do. And that's where another problem lies, is you can take Kim Jong-un out of power 100% of the time. They could kill him tomorrow. But as we saw when his father died, it's going to be the same thing. So what do? Do we nuke the place? Could be an answer. We're dealing with the same problem in Syria, the same problem that we dealt in Egypt, and the same problem that we dealt with, I believe, in Sudan. You remove a dictator that controlled the region and kind of controlled everything else that was going around him, and then the area goes into chaos. Everything goes into, I'm going to blow apart because I don't give a fuck. That's a big problem. Real big problem. And that's where the problems begin, is we take out Kim Jong-un, or we take out most of the leadership in North Korea, then we have to deal with what could possibly be next, especially in a country that is very, very doing very horribly in GDP. Very, very badly. Like, can't feed half of their cities badly. Yes, this is a huge problem worldwide. But this is a huge problem with this. We go to war. We have problems with our country. We have problems with their country. And we need to rebuild them afterwards. We pull out too quickly, their economy collapses, entire country collapses, and we go back to what it was, instead of just trying to build up what it could be. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't go to war with North Korea. I'm not saying we should. What I'm saying is we need to look at this, and look at this real good. Maybe send Dennis Rodman over there for like 2 or 3 months after he talks to Trump, gets a nice little fist bump from Trump about what needs to go on. Maybe, just maybe, we can right this shit. I think that it could be done by talking and diplomacy. But it's just getting the hand reached out. Trump isn't going to stick his neck out if Kim Jong-un isn't going to stick his. And this would be a huge loss for Kim Jong-un. His father's legacy was sort of losing to the United States and sort of being aggressive towards them and saying he's going to use nuclear weapons that he really doesn't even have. Now Kim Jong-un's doing the same thing. We need that diplomacy. We need that fight to show what's going on. We need that fight to understand how people think and what is going on with this country. Not ours, North Korea. We don't have China on their side anymore. We have China on ours. At least neutral. And that was the biggest fight. Now, let's cut the head off the beast and get this problem fixed. So, now I'm going to cut into my favorite part of this show, and we are going to go into shredded secrecy. I've only had one news story this week. I really don't want to cover YouTube news. There's no real reason to. But we have an amazing show that's going on. I don't know if any of you guys caught the first season, but I believe I did an episode on this when I was doing Shredded Secrecy still. And this is the Nazis going into South America and leaving Berlin, especially Adolf Hitler, before the Blitz, the Battle of Berlin. And big fucking blast and everything. Go watch the TV show Hunting Hitler. Has one of the coolest guys in the world, Tim Kennedy, on it. If you guys don't know the UFC, don't watch the UFC, he's also a Green Beret. He fights ISIS. He got threatened by ISIS so badly that I believe the FBI came up and told him, hey, we have credible threats against your life from ISIS, and he told them to bring it on. Now, as a ballsy-ass motherfucker, if I do say so myself, I'd love to get a chance to sit down and talk with him, but that's not just me. So, they are filming the second season of Hunting Hitler, either second or third, and this story has just come out. Federal police in Argentina recently discovered a time capsule of evil hidden inside a house near Buenos Aires, Argentina. Roughly 75 Nazi artifacts, including everything from a large knife to a Nazi medical device to a photo negative of Adolf Hitler, were uncovered in a secret room. Police are investigating when and how the items entered the South American country. Now, that's where we're going to reveal the curtain. If you've watched the first season of Hunting Hitler, it is possible that he left the Fuhrer bunker before the Battle of Berlin, got to the airport, and was able to get out of Berlin. And if you watch the season, that's the biggest problem that he could have had, is getting out of Berlin. Once he gets out of Berlin, which is encircled by the Allied forces of Russia and America, it kind of gets a little sketchy. He could have gotten out, he could have gotten on a U-boat and gotten over to South America. Now, this is where a lot of things get a little sketchy. A lot of things get a little questionable. Now, if you look in, I believe, Colombia, could be Honduras. Don't remember the exact country. I'm not looking at it. I'm trying to go off my memory so that way I can tell you guys stories and kind of get the storytelling about going on. I found in my research that there were complete buildings that were complete Nazi artifacts. There was Nazis, symbols, swastikas, and the eagle inscripted in rocks that were built to use in castles and buildings and stuff like that to house people. But that's not the biggest issue. You find complete settlements in Colombia, Brazil, Argentina, all of them speaking German. Now, you're in South America where Portuguese and Spanish are going to be the most fluent languages, and then you walk into a bar or a bodega and you're talking German to somebody who's Hispanic. It's a little bit weird. You gotta think of it that way. Like, you expect it to be one way, and it's the complete opposite. These people aren't supposed to be here. You're sitting here possibly knocking into a Nazi that's 90 years old, 100 years old. Isn't that a bit weird? Yeah, it is. But, that's the problem. Nobody really knows if Hitler was killed. Nobody really knows if Hitler died. They burned his body. The two stories that came out was the German SS officers that let him kill himself right in front of them burned their bodies. Him and Eva Braun. They burned their bodies at a pyre in the middle of Berlin. I don't think that's the truth. And then you go to the U.S. story that we burned their bodies because they were found with Cyclone B, I believe, in their system. That could either be that or what they used in the gas chambers. I don't remember. It's been a little while since my World War II history, but that's a little bit sketchy. You're adding a little bit too many things into it. If you're going to commit suicide, wouldn't you think you would take a bullet to the head? You have a gun right there. Either way, they couldn't identify Adolf Hitler in either story. Isn't that a bit sketchy? A little bit far-fetched? That you can't identify literally, at that time, the face of evil. There wasn't anything to identify him. There wasn't anything to pin him there the day supposedly he died. But there's something to pin him in Argentina. As we heard, there is a photo negative of Adolf Hitler uncovered in a secret room. Okay, we're going to read on, and I want you guys to give me your opinion on this in the comments below. As Hartz reports, agents from Interpol raided the home of an unnamed owner of a Nazi artifact on June 8th. Some artworks of illicit origin were discovered in the north side of Buenos Aires, leading police to the man's home. When investigators arrived, they found a large bookcase that was hiding a secret room. The man remains free, but it's unclear if he will face any charges. The investigators have reached out to Holocaust experts to learn more about where these Nazi pieces may have come from, but the members of the Jewish community in Argentina believe that they must have been brought to the country by Nazi officials following World War II. Now, that some people are sketchy on, but Google Nazi officers in Argentina or in South America. It is found that a lot of SS officers, a lot of people that committed war crimes in World War II and the Holocaust left and fled Berlin and Germany to go over to Argentina. Now, many people will be like, nah, couldn't have happened, we had them surrounded. But there is actual proof that they did. That's where your problem comes in. There is actual proof that people left Berlin, which is why it's 100% plausible that Adolf Hitler left Berlin and got to Argentina. There was initially some speculation about whether the items could be reproductions, but investigators believe they're originals. But there are obviously still a number of questions surrounding how they arrived in the country. Our first investigators indicated that these are original pieces. Argentine Security Prime Minister Patricia Bullrich. Oh, that is one cool knife. It's sort of like a Bowie knife with like a chainsaw on it. I'll leave the link down below for the entire write-up. It's got a nice little swastika insignia on the box as well. Beautiful piece. I can see somebody wanting to collect this completely. It'll be down in the description below. The discovery is the largest of its kind in Argentina, a country that has what might be best described as an unfortunate relationship with the Holocaust. After World War II, a number of top Nazi officials fled to Argentina, including Adolf Enrichman and Joseph Mengele. Enrichman was discovered in Buenos Aires by Nazi hunters in 1960. He was brought to Israel and tried and hung in 1962. Mengele escaped Argentina and fled to Paraguay and later died in Brazil. It is not known if any of the items discovered this month personally belonged to Enrichman, Mengele, or any of the other Nazis who escaped Germany. Now, that says it right there. We have one of the best doctors, I believe, Dr. Mengele, who, if you look, was one of the major doctors that tested on twins and stuff like that. Disgusting tests. And I don't want to ever say anything other than them being disgusting. But in the world we live in now, if we didn't have those tests and that information that he was able to get, we wouldn't be able to have the medical advancement that we have now. It's kind of a necessary evil. It's a disgusting thing that happened. But in a way it helped us. It helped us to determine quite a bit of what the human body did. Now let's break down more of this article. One reason the authorities in Buenos Aires has some degree of certainty that they are originals is that some items from the collection are pictured in photographs of Nazi leaders. For example, one item in the collection is a magnifying glass. The same magnifying glass seen in a photo negative from the collection showing Hitler himself. Investigators showed the photo to the Associated Press on the condition that the photo not be published. That I kind of find to be bullshit. They're not going to find a magnifying glass and be like, same magnifying glass, unless that is one ornate motherfucking magnifying glass. This is a way to commercialize them, showing that there were objects used by the Fuhrer. There were photos of him with the objects, said Bulwark. Yeah, I kind of find that to be completely obnoxious a little bit. Some of the more disturbing items in the collection are medical devices. Items used to measure the size of human heads. Nazi scientists traveled the world in 1930 measuring heads of different peoples, believing in a pseudoscience that a superior race could be determined through facial features. The collection also includes Nazi toys and other things that would have been targeted to the Nazi youth, such as a collection of harmonicas featuring illustrations of young kids holding Nazi flags. Okay, so that's where I'm going to end it there, just because there's no real reason to keep going, reading that article at least. There is 100% chance that Adolf Hitler left the bunker. Argentina? You Google Adolf Hitler in Argentina. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% right, but if you Google this, you will find answers. You will find pictures. You will find a picture of Adolf Hitler's house in Argentina with marble floors, the Nazi insignia on the floor, and black and white marble. Now, that could be a stretch. Definitely could be a stretch. You wouldn't expect somebody to be living, hiding in a mansion, but he could be living in a rock shack in the backwoods of Argentina, Paraguay, Colombia, and trying to build the Fourth Reich. 100% possible. Now, I'm going to break down one more thing. Definitely one more thing. I could break it down in a few things. Depends on if I feel like it or not. First things first. You know, I'm the realist. Sorry. Whatever. Happens. Is the Bill Cosby thing. Stuff that has gone on with Bill Cosby, recently at least. As you know, I believe last year or the year before, there was a whole bunch of rape accusations against Bill Cosby. I would assume at least 25-40% of them are real. Just my opinion of smelling bullshit, smelling non-bullshit. I would assume that it's about 40%, 50% that's real. And that's where the problem comes in. They waited this long to press charges and do something about it. Obviously, there is no rape kits on these people. There's no drug kits on these people. They can't test what's going on in those put-in pops and that special barbecue sauce. That's where the problem is. Now, everybody is throwing a huge hissy fit about what's going on in Pennsylvania right now. And that is the mistrial of Bill Cosby. This was a criminal. These were his criminal charges, not the paying out to the victims or said victims any kind of reparations or money. This was just the criminal trial. This was the state versus Bill Cosby. I believe only 1 or 2 women were able to file in that state, probably because of years past and stuff like that. But that's where the problem comes in. Is this was a long time ago. This was the 80s and the beginning of the 90s, where you have a TV show that people watch every single night, and that was the largest TV show in the world. At least from what I've heard. The Cosby Show is fucking huge. About a black family that is in one piece instead of shattered because of drug problems or race issues or the dad left or the mom's a bad mom. It was about a family unit that kind of grew together, and it was kind of the stereotypical 50s kind of home where both parents worked and worked white collar jobs and showed their kids how to work and work hard. Now, his TV show didn't change anything or change how people should perceive him, because I really hope that his Dr. Huxtable character really doesn't change how you see somebody, because that's not how things are supposed to work. The character that anybody portrays shouldn't be how you picture the person, because they're a different person than that. Even if the character is essentially themselves, they're still accentuating certain things. Like I accentuate my arrogance and my knowledge and even my eccentricism to a certain point. You have to be arrogant when you're building a character. You have to be accentuating parts of yourself. You have to be pushing yourself to be that much better and farther. But that's part of it that most people don't understand. They're either saying they stand with Cosby because he's Cliff Huxtable that could never do that, or they're against Cosby because, you know, he just always had that weird fucking look on his face. And that's the problem. The answer is in the middle, as it always is. There's always an answer in the middle of what actually happened. Now, I will never tell the stories that I'm about to mention, but I've had problems in the past. Things that have happened to me. Not that I've done, but things that have happened to me. And people don't believe you. People 100%, not 100%, I'll say 50% of the time. It could be the next day, it could be 30 years from now, and they'll still question you. They still won't take what you have to say as the truth, because every single person is going to feel like they have to question something, like they want more information, but they can't take it. I don't know how this stuff with Bill Cosby happened. I feel horrible for the women that it happened to. But in the end, I don't think anything's going to come of it. He lived, he's like 79 or something now, and he's not going to get in trouble for it. And that's probably going to be the end of it. He might pay a few of them, but that's probably going to be the end of it. We're not going to hear much more about this. It's over. It's done. It went to mistrial. Now, it's disheartening for all of the people that it happened to. But he's not going to be accused of something that happened 30 years ago, because there's no proof. It's just a he said, she said bullshit. And that's where the problem is if you have proof and you can show what's going to happen, that's much different than it just being what you say versus what I say. It's disheartening, yeah, but it's the truth. Now, I'm going to end this on the last story, or my final thought. We have had major problems since, I believe, Ramadan started, the Muslim holiday where they kill infidels and deal with mass hysteria. We've dealt with things like the Ariana Grande concert, the night after, people being attacked on London Bridge, and numerous other attacks throughout Europe and everything else. I'm not going to say there was major amounts of attacks in America. There was only one that I could possibly think of, which was the congressman being shot. And it's absolutely disgusting. Killing people because they don't share the same belief as you or thoughts as you is absolutely disgusting. Yet you want to come to the country where free thought and free speech is what you're coming for? That's bullshit. You're coming to insult it. And that's the problem. It's one thing if you're a peaceful person. It's one thing if you're coming here to better yourself, better your family, or try and create something. That is the American dream. But when you're sitting here taking the American dream, or the dream in Britain, away from people because you want to be a disgusting human being, whether it be a Muslim attack, a terrorist attack, anything, whether it be the rhetoric of the left, the rhetoric of the right, or anything in between, that is being a disgusting human being. You are taking somebody's life because you can't deal with life yourself. You look at Pulse nightclub that happened a year ago. Somebody who obviously struggled with problems of himself. He sold his house for $1 because he had this planned out to a T. And that's where the problem is people are looking at people and looking at people and looking at people and can't stick a pin in it and tell you that's what's going to fucking happen, because nobody in this world will come out and tell you not what they're going to do, but nobody will take you seriously. Nobody will call the cops and be like, you should probably watch him. You should probably watch this. Yes, we can't be nannying people and telling people that they can't do stuff and telling people that they can't do this and can't do that, can't purchase a gun, can't wield a knife, whatever. That's where the problems come in. We're sitting here having the left pander to guns rights, being completely against them, and pushing people like Black Lives Matter and everything else, and trying to prop up people that are essentially hate groups. Black Lives Matter is a hate group. Now, nobody will say this. They want segregation. Isn't that disgusting? We get equality, essentially. Yes, there's racial problems, but I don't feel like they're as bad as the 50s. They're not even as bad as 6 months ago. The race problems are being forced. The race problems are being pushed by Resist. They're being pushed by Black Lives Matter, and they're being pushed by everybody who feels like everybody being a shade of gray is easier than you being yourself. Now, the right use this term, unique snowflake. They're not unique anymore. Black Lives Matter, LGBT, everybody who's fighting against not even their identity problems or identity politics, they're fighting against making everybody the same. When Pride and stuff like that was a coming out party essentially for them, showing what they are and being happy about who they are. And that's where the problem is. You're continually contemplating and throwing out the problems and creating mass hysteria, whether you're problems in the Muslim community and you're an Islamist, or you're dealing with Black Lives Matter and you're causing mass hysteria there with the police and riots and stuff like that, or you're a cop who's getting shot at, or you're a bad cop and you're shooting at somebody, or you're a white supremacist, or you're a realist. Everybody's getting thrown under the same blanket. You're all a shade of gray. Whether you're gay, straight, white, black, the only person that you're not allowed to be is a white male, because anybody who is a white male is treated like a piece of shit. You're treated like somebody who doesn't matter anymore, and that's the biggest problem. There is no God-given right to something. You're not given something. You work your ass off for it. You're not shown that you have to be ungrateful for things. Hell, there were some nights when I was a kid when I was happy to be able to eat a slice of bread. Why? Because I brought my fucking self up. I'm not where I am today for any other reason than me and my fiance worked our asses off. That's why I'm here. That's why I continue to say, fuck everybody who wants to say that white people don't have problems. Fuck everybody who wants to create mass hysteria and get away from the issues that our country is having with infrastructure and problems with people being on welfare while they're using drugs and alcohol. Fuck everybody who is against problems in relationships, and fuck everybody who's against men and females even that are for men. We are equal, all of us. All of us are equal. Right now, even if you want to be truthful, females are above men. In every sense of the word. That's where feminists led us after the second string. Is we had the first string of feminism where it was we want to vote and we want equality. Second string was we want to be able to have the choice. 100% deserve the choice. You deserve the choice of being able to choose whether you want to hold a baby in your body or not. 100% your choice. Yes, the guy should have a choice to opt out, but that will be in the next episode. So, and then the third string is where we have the problem. We have the talk of the patriarchy and everything else, and then the fourth string was them joining up with things like Black Lives Matter and Pride and Resist and Not My President and all that bullshit, and where we begin to start having problems with pandering. We pander to them. We pander to them on the problem of the LGBT argument of there should be co-ed bathrooms. You make co-ed bathrooms, the only thing that should be co-ed is the sinks. Each individual bathroom should be an individual bathroom. Why? Because if my daughter needs to go into the bathroom, I'm going to fucking follow her in there. Why? Because I want to make sure she's safe. That's why you don't have co-ed bathrooms, because you want that security not only for yourself, but your loved ones and the other people that cannot defend themselves. Not because of me, because I don't care if some other fucking creepy-ass dudes listen to me piss. I don't care if some other dudes listen to me take a shit. Truthfully, I don't want them in there. I don't want them to have to smell my ass. Why? Because everybody's ass fucking stinks. News alert. Everybody's ass fucking stinks. You want to solve the fucking problem of the bathroom problem? Make it fucking solo bathrooms. Each individual Walmart has a fucking family bathroom. Why can't we just have 6 or 7 of those? Oh wait, because it costs too much money. Did you forget about that part? Did you absolutely forget about the part where every single thing you complain about is a problem? Is a tiny little minuscule problem. 2% of the world has a problem with this. And yet it's mainstream media showing you over and over and over and over and over and over and over again that we have a problem with two-answer bathrooms. Either you're a male and you go in the male bathroom, or you're a female and you go in the female bathroom. Sorry, but if somebody doesn't look the gender they're going into the bathroom for, if you have a female going into the guy's bathroom, it's going to be a hell of a lot different than a creepy old man going into the girl's bathroom. Obviously, it's not going to matter much. Most people won't care, and that's the part that you're not getting. Most people only care in the extreme cases. So if you stopped complaining, stopped saying that there was a problem, maybe there wouldn't have been a problem. Now all of a sudden there is a huge problem. We have terror issues that are consistently going on, and you're afraid to say that radical Islam and radical people are the problem. Now, I'm not saying all Muslims are the problem, because they're not. There are very, very, very many kind people that are Muslim. There are very many people that will go out of their way to do everything that they can for you. But those are completely different people. People that are radicalized are normally younger, and that's the part that you're not understanding. Normally, people that are radicalized are connecting to these people through Reddit, most likely, 4chan, most likely. And there's even been tips about them connecting over PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. Why? Because they're not watched. They're not censored. I wouldn't even want censorship. I'm not even saying I want censorship. But you would think that you would watch communications in between certain countries and anybody of a certain kind of idea. You have somebody who Googles how to become radicalized or ISIS recruitment, and that's where you begin to get on the iffy list. And then you have the people of the left and the right that would like to throw their weight around and become a problem. I've been called a racist, I've been called a realist, I've been called an Islamist, and I've been called uninformed. But it's the truth. It's 100% the truth. There are fucked up people doing fucked up things. And at what point is it okay to say, you know, we're not worried about the world right now. We're worried about us. I'll leave you at that thought. Thank you to the sponsor who sponsored the show, Dollar Shave Club. Make sure you guys click the link down in the description below. And also, I've been sponsored for this show, for this podcast, by a company that my family uses every day. Are you tired of seeing commercials of men in the shower for other razor and soap companies? I am. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of waiting for 20 minutes, longer than my drive, to go to the store to find that one 16-year-old in the drugstore that has the keys to open the razor fortress because, you know, everybody's going to steal razors out of those plastic fucking containers. Me, I get my razors sent to me by Dollar Shave Club. Personally, I get a new executive razor for $9 a month and 4 razors. How do you beat that? You get a brand new handle when you start, and then you get 4 razors every month for $9. That's half the price of any other razor company. For that, you could get Dr. Carver Shave Butter. Crystalline clear, you shave, the hair disappears. Your face is smoother and softer than a baby's ass. Or, you get the fucking wipes that they have on there. I believe they're One Wipe Charlies. Or, God forbid you go to Walmart and get yourself some wipes. Because, trust me, they will make you feel 10 times better about yourself. You're not wiping yourself with that savage fucking toilet paper. You're using a One Wipe Charlie and making sure your ass is nice and clean for the next time you get down in the sack. Or, you know, you could just buy a bagel down at Dunkin' Donuts or your local bagel shop. Because, you know, everybody loves bagels. If you want to help me out, please click the link down below. It gives me a bit towards my next order, and we'll give you any razor you choose for $1 for your first month. I hope you enjoy. And I hope you enjoyed the content. This is a brand new show. Make sure to leave your comments down below. And as always, guys, this has been your boy IconicBelow, and I will see you guys next time.